Hello and welcome to the Strong Friend Podcast with Jack and Lewis. Now, today we talk about how to get out of a rut. And I know that is going to be a problem on a lot of people's plates right now. It's going to be something that a lot of you connect with. So please share this one with anyone who you think is in that dark place right now that they really can't get out of. Now let's get into the video.
Lavender oil here. Some sniffers. It's funny because Emily hates lavender oil, by the way, and before she goes to sleep, I'm like pouring it all over her pillow. She's like, "Why have you put lavender all over the pillow?"
Oh mate, please can we start the podcast there?
I want to, mate. Yeah. Right then, Let's go. I'm ready, man. Let's go.
Right. So how's your week been, man?
Mate, it's been a great week. Last week we spoke about how nervous I was to get the podcast out there on Facebook. And since doing that, I've had so many people reaching out to me, saying how much they've enjoyed the podcast, saying how much they relate to the podcast, saying how much they enjoyed it. And it's been overwhelming how many people have just reached out. Do you sort of feel the same way? Because,
I do, mate. Mate, I do. The biggest thing for me, what I wanted to build from this is a connected audience. So I don't care about how many views you get. I want an audience that actually connects with what we're saying. Yeah. Because that's the whole point of it. It's not to just be. We know that Strong Friend isn't going to be the next viral thing.
Of course.
But we know that we can connect with people, and the fact that is actually working, mate. It makes you proud.
It does, and the great thing is it's taken away any self-doubt that I had in the beginning, because I'm serious. The amount of people that have reached out to me and you, it really has been overwhelming for both of us, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. For you, I think it's building your confidence back up, and it's something that you've needed for a while now.
Definitely.
Just self-confidence.
Yeah. Because, like I say, I've been doing really well in general, but I've always suffered with low self-esteem. But when I was speaking to people, they were saying how amazing they thought it was, and just how much it helped them. And it's just taking away that self-doubt, and I love it. And we said in the beginning that it's as much about us as it is about the viewer.
Yeah.
So,
Mate, I couldn't agree with you more. And we said at the start before we created this, that if this was to help one person, just one person, if it changed their day or if it stopped them from doing something silly, then it's fulfilled its purpose.
100%, yeah. So how's your week been?
My week keeps going up and down. So there's times where I feel on top of the world, feel great, and then someone mentions the current climate, and then all of a sudden I'll be just smacked down to the ground. So I'm finding it difficult to just stay in one steady mood, to be honest.
Is it?
So,
sorry, in London, is it tier 3 now?
Tier 2.
Tier 2. Well, that's just been announced for Stoke as well.
Yeah.
But where I am, we're exempt from it. But I think in regards to that, it's every time you turn on the news, it's on there, and it's just bringing you down. And I understand it's very real and very serious, but you've got to limit your time that you're watching the news, otherwise you'll just drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, so this is the thing, and especially so I'm going into work and I'm catching up with people. Yeah. And when you catch up with someone, you ask them how they've been, what they're doing, and the topic always comes up because everyone's surrounded by it. It's on everyone's. It's almost like it's part of your life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it keeps up and down, mate, up and down.
I think life's changed for everyone, and the fact that we're doing something positive in this time where people are more than likely staying in so much more than likely feeling so much more isolated is such a good thing, because so many people have been struggling over this year. So many people.
Yeah.
And
well, this is at the time where I think people are being more open to these kind of conversations and these kind of topics.
Yeah, I feel like we need it, because seen some tragic situations since March that have probably been because of lockdowns and stuff, and I think people getting too stuck in their own heads, and if you haven't got the right coping mechanisms, etc., it can be scary for people, and people are scared to open up because we've never been taught how to do that.
Yeah, mate, I couldn't agree with you more. And I guess this whole topic kind of links with this week's topic, because this week's topic is how to get out of a rut, and I think there'll be a lot of people out there who at the minute feel like they're in a rut, who feel like they can't get out of this mentality.
Yeah, 100%. It's like it almost creates a feeling of being trapped.
It does. So, what do you think your longest rut was? Do you remember a time where you were just you could feel like you were stuck, that you hadn't made any progress in anything in your life?
Yeah, it was going back to uni. It was when I was at uni, and that the whole sort of, it was like the last year of uni, and for about 2 years after that, I don't really feel like I made any progress. Didn't eat well for those 2 years. I wasn't exercising.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything the things that you should be doing to sort of stay healthy, physically and mentally. I wasn't doing, and it showed, because I ended up putting a lot of weight on. I ended up staining a lot more. I felt down, depressed, anxious, and when you actually look back at all of those things, well, you realise, well, you're not really helping yourself by having all these bad habits and all that kind of stuff. And as you get into that rut, I was getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and I was binge eating. I was just spending days. Yeah, binge eating is just crazy. Like,
well, talk me through a day in the life of Lewis in a rut. What, like, from the time in which you wake up in a rut, what was your routine?
Well, we're talking like 4 years ago now.
Yeah,
But my routine back then was basically lie in bed, put Netflix on, order a takeaway, and
really, in the morning?
well, yeah, it'd be like a sandwich shop usually. Like well, obviously there's loads of oatcake shops around here, so I'd get like an oatcake, chill out. But the thing is, it was never just an oatcake. It wasn't like, oh, I'll get a single oatcake. It was, I'll get like 2 double oatcakes and a large Coke, and I'll have one of your muffins as well, please. And then it sort of just be.
So lunchtime came, right? So
Yeah.
you got up, you stuck Netflix on, you've ordered yourself your oatcakes. Lunchtime, it gets to like 2:00. What are you doing?
The same as what I was doing in the morning, just literally just watching Netflix over and over again. I've never really ate in the day, so what I would do after that is just literally just do that until the evening, and then when evening comes, order another takeaway. And it could be like, usually my takeaway of choice was like a Chinese, so it would be like salt and pepper chicken.
Yeah.
You know that I've had issues with Chinese food because it's like salt and pepper boxes that you do. You can get like a massive salt and pepper box for 10, 15 quid. Or it would be a McDonald's, and then I'd pretty much just do that and then eat it all. And then, you know, after you've had a big binge and you're just sitting there and your stomach's full.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You feel like you want to die.
yeah, you do. It's such a horrible feeling. And at the time, I was just flowing with my emotions, so because I didn't have that routine. If I had a thought of, oh, I want to eat food now, I'd just do it. I'd just order it, and the more that you do it, the more it becomes a habit. And then it was sort of like a habit of just ordering and ordering and ordering. So after that, I'd pretty much just maybe go in the living room for a little bit, have a little chat, and then go back to bed. There was nothing constructive about my day. Whereas now, 4 years later, I'm exercising, I'm eating a lot healthier, I'm doing meditation, I'm doing positive affirmation work, all the stuff with you. We chat daily. But obviously we'll get on to how you sort of get to that later. But yeah, that was the day in my life. What about yourself? If you were in a rut, if you can think back to when you were in a rut, what was it like for you?
I think mine's at uni as well, to be honest. So
everyone's at uni, by the way. Everyone. I've spoken to people today, and they're like, "It's all when I was at uni." So much pressure on people.
So First of all, I'd probably be awake until like 3 a.m. There's the first thing. It'd either be on Xbox or on social media, some form of social media. So I'd probably be going to bed like stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Wake up probably about 10, 11. You know what I mean? So first of all, that in itself, you've wasted so many hours of that morning. It's pretty much afternoon by that point. I'd probably get up at about 10 or 11. You know what? I'd probably lie in bed for an hour. Yeah. I'd just lay there on my phone. Yeah. Just looking at social media. Might turn my Xbox on, have a couple games of Rocket League. Yeah. So I just something where I don't have to leave my bed.
Yeah.
Then go downstairs, look for some food. I'd be pretty good at making myself some lunch, like some dinner. So
yeah,
I'd never usually order takeaways in the day. It'd always be later on. Yeah. So I'd eat my food. I'd maybe even go back to bed, or if the boys were around, I'd go to the gym. So even in a rut, I was always going to the gym. Then after the gym, I'd get back, and from that point, the gym was the only productive thing. After the gym, I would just sit around, and I would literally either go on Xbox, go on my social media, or just sit and do nothing, listen to music, and that'd be until like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Get a takeaway. So I think my takeaway was always there's a place called Chili Jack's that's back in Stoke.
Yeah.
And we always used to get like a chicken burger, chips, a milkshake, and they used to do these milkshakes. Right?
I remember those milkshakes, mate. They're amazing.
And they were really good, but they were so bad for you. Yeah. And we used to get that like most nights. It wasn't like a one-off thing. It was most nights. Yeah. So going on Xbox, I was probably on Xbox for about 4 or 5 hours a day. Yeah. I was on social media for about 3 of them hours. I was in the gym for maybe an hour, and the rest of it sleeping or doing nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting because now you're like one of the people that like you get up earlier than anyone I know, literally. Yeah. So, like, I feel like I should ask you, like, in a nutshell, how is it that you go from that to how you are now? I know it's a massive topic, but are there any like key things that you've done to go from that to that?
Yeah, so I'll tell you about where I'm at right now compared to where I was, and I'll try and summarize as best I can what it takes to get there. So right now I get up at 5:15 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, that's early, that is.
So in the week, that's what I'll do. Weekends, I may go to bed a bit later and then get up at... The latest I'll get up is 8. Yeah. That is the absolute latest. Even on a weekend, on a day off, whatever, 8 o'clock is the latest I get up.
Yeah.
And I do not spend any time in bed anymore at all.
Yeah.
In the morning, if I'm awake, I'm up. I get out of the bed because as soon as you're trapped in that bed, your mind tells you 5 more minutes. So I don't even give myself that chance.
That comfort, it just wants comfort all the time. Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
So get up at 5:15, go to the gym. I'll spend an hour and a quarter in the gym.
Yeah.
Go to work, get back. I'll study, or I'll be doing something else, some podcast work or something like that, and then probably by that time it'll be... So I religiously now go to sleep at around 10 to 11 o'clock so that I'm up at 5.
Yeah.
And I worked out that with all my... If I include gym work and everything that I do that's productive, I am occupied for 10 hours of the day, 7 days a week.
Jesus. That's great, though.
Yeah. That's occupied in terms of like productive things. That's no sitting around, no social media time. That is 10 hours a day of just pure productive something. So I worked that out a while ago, and I was like, wow, that's a big difference from where I was. And I think the big thing that got me there was little steps, man.
Yeah.
It's not. I didn't do all that in one night. I didn't just wake up and all of a sudden work 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
I did it in little incremental steps. You develop one habit, and then you nail that habit, and then you create a new one, and then. So that's what I would say was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
Well, I think from what you've just said, like, it's really interesting because I think a lot of the time we have this idea of perfectionism, so it's an all or nothing attitude. So
Yeah.
if you try and go from where Jack was 4 years ago to how he is now in the space of a week, you're already setting yourself up for failure, aren't you? You got to do one thing at a time. And ultimately, from what you've just said, like productivity-wise, before, when you're just spending time looking at social media, if you're not being productive on yourself, you're literally just sitting and having a dopamine rush, and that's all you're doing. There's nothing else to it. You're not doing anything productive. You're just filling your brain's need for a dopamine rush, and that's it. But in terms of me, mate, I feel like... Well, I'll explain where I was to how I am now, shall I?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, like I say, back then I was in that kind of rut. So let's just say I was there, pretty much spending most of the time in bed and just eating bad foods and not exercising. So I think for me, one of the best things that I did was start going to the gym again, because it gave me that fire back. Even though I wasn't really eating properly at first, it was just... as long as I was hitting the weights, it was helping me. And then after a couple of months, I started to sort of eat better. And then I started doing cold showers, because my gym's got a plunge pool. And it's freezing cold. And when you jump in there, mate, it's just so good. It's cold, really cold, but it switches you on. And I feel like cold showers get rid of any anxiety that you might have just there and then. That's why now I take a cold shower every day, but... So it was like exercise, the cold, which ties in with the Wim Hof method, which is the breathing method, and I'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
What else did I do? Mindfulness meditation is a massive one for me. Just to sit there and be with your thoughts, where, like you say, you're not on social media all the time.
Because you do that a lot now.
Yeah, I do. I love mindfulness meditation. And I also do progressive muscle relaxation, and I sort of combine the two. So I'll do progressive muscle relaxation before mindfulness, and progressive muscle relaxation is so important for me to help me stay calm and keep any anxiety at bay. But yeah, so I do that now, and I've done it that much, it's become a routine. So I think overall, over the past 3 years, the difference between me then and the difference between me now really is like having a consistent routine. And I think that's the most important thing, because if you don't have a routine, like you've just said, like you will just sit there and you'll say, 5 more minutes on my phone, 5 more minutes in bed, and then before you know it, it's 7 o'clock at night and you've done nothing. And that's the way it goes, and then you end up staying like that for months. So
I think one of the best ways to get into a routine is to have someone keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Because if someone's there, if someone's not keeping you accountable, then it's very difficult for you to set that standard of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think people are very harsh on themselves when they first start, and they're like, I didn't do it today, and I don't really want to do it tomorrow, and they just end up giving up. Yeah. Whereas I think someone needs to... It's good to have someone to set that accountability for you. So for instance, when Lou was in a really bad rut, I suggested that he needs to start going to the gym again.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where he was literally saying he was going to go to the gym, and he texted me saying, I've missed it, man.
Yeah.
And we developed something whereby I said, right, no, stop it now. Snapchat me a picture of you in the gym 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where Lou had to take a picture and send it to me on Snapchat to prove that he was in the gym. And it had to be like, there had to be some form of evidence that he'd actually done it. So I was keeping him accountable at the very, very start of him going back to the gym and getting into it.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I trust that you can go to the gym on your own and do it to yourself. But at the very start, it's good to have that someone there who can give you that push. That are you doing it? Are you staying on top of it?
Yeah.
And it's good to have people. It's good to be that to someone else as well.
100%. That's why I feel like it's important to have training partners. I think when I fell out of the gym, it was when I didn't really have training partners for like a period whilst I was at uni. I think I went like a year without having a training partner, and then I had training, and then but I don't know. I've always had training partners, like, and I feel like a good training partner is so fucking important, mate.
It is.
You literally both getting in there, and you almost like compete with each other, and it becomes a healthy competition, and you just want to keep bettering yourself and bettering yourself. But when it's just you in there, you sort of get a little bit, there's not really much desire sometimes, and that's why it's also good to have a personal trainer, which I know you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, although we have personal trainers, we both still now go on our own, which I think is a massive achievement.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive achievement because being able to go to the gym, to be able to motivate yourself to actually go on your own when no one's waiting there for you, when you don't feel bad for missing. Like, if you don't go to the gym and you haven't got a training partner waiting for you there, you're not letting anyone down. Like, you're just letting yourself down. That's it. And when you're in that rut, when you're in that place, you don't really care. You don't really care if you let yourself down.
Yeah.
So accountability, whether that be from, I think it stems from someone else starting it, just giving you that push. But then after I stopped getting Snapchats from Lou, he was doing that himself. He was holding himself to that accountability because he knew I would do that. Yeah,
it was getting to the point where I was going to the gym and I was like, "Oh mate, sorry, I forgot to do it," because I was just in the flow. I think they say it takes, is it 30 days for something to become a habit?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same with anything that you do, whether it be dieting, training, and like I say, I feel like for me accountability is huge. So, like
David Goggins uses the accountability mirror, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he's so inspirational. But like I say, having like two training partners for about 8 years, and then sort of just going on my own, I did definitely feel the difference, and I feel like you become codependent sometimes on other people, whereas now I've learned that, it's great to go with other people as well, but I can also go on my own if I need to. Do you know what I mean?
I do, mate,
Yeah.
I do. And one thing I want to go back to about your story is you said that you found you found a fire again when you went to the gym.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that going inside yourself when you're in a rut and you accept that you're in a rut, that you know that you're doing things that are just bad habits and you can't get out of it, you need to ask yourself, what do I value in life? What is it that write down your top 5 things that you value most in life, but you've got to really think about it. You've got to really go deep inside your brain, meditate on it, and think, what is it in life that I could not live without? What is it that drives me? What is it that gets me up in the morning?
And I think that's so true, because you know as well as I do what I'm going to say now. And for me, one of those things is being in the gym consistently and having a lean body. And without that, there's something in me where I don't feel at my peak. I don't feel happy, like, fully. Does that make sense? Because
mate, completely.
Because it's like, because I was going to the gym from about 14, I really fell in love with it and fell in love with the lifestyle, fell in love with the physique and all that kind of stuff, and it sort of becomes like your identity. So when I go to the gym now, I feel nostalgic. I'm connecting with my inner child again. So, like, anyone can have any sort of, like, I know people play instruments and then they fall out of love with it, or people start working and they haven't got time to do the hobbies, but like, hobbies are such a big thing. Like, so many people stop doing what they love because of, like, growing up and becoming like an adult and just not having the time.
Well, yeah, couldn't agree with you more, man, because the things we do as kids, the things that we love as kids, they're the things that we value most in life. And as we move into a career, and as we think, oh well, what's going to make me money, we forget about what we love. We forget about why we forget about why we want to make that money in the first place.
Yeah.
The whole reason that you need to make that money is to do the things that you love. So why not go back to the things that you love and make money from that? If you can, obviously that's not going to be every scenario.
Yeah.
But you've got to ask yourself, what is it that I value, and can I reignite these values? Because that's what drives you. That's internally, that's what gives you the most energy. Not everything that's around you right now. When Lou was at uni, that wasn't giving him energy. That wasn't feeding that burning passion within him. If he was in a university course whereby he had to do a bodybuilding qualification, you would have seen Lou pass with a first.
Yeah.
You would have done.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got to find that purpose. You've got to find that reason for being here. What are your true values? And I want to speak about that actually, because when I was, as part of work, we've had to do this. A group of us have had to do this. You had to write down your values, and one of my top values was resilience, and that relates to my story of just never backing down and never giving in. And one thing that I find so much energy and passion from is inspiring others to be that resilient person, and using my experience and my resilience and my story, and using that to benefit others.
Yeah.
And that is one of the reasons that I started this podcast, because I realigned with my goals, because I realized from my career that I wasn't getting out of it what I really, really wanted. And I just said to myself, well, why not just start? Why not just start? And the amount of energy that I got from it's exactly like you said, man. It's a fire. It reignites a fire.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, everyone listening to this podcast will have their own individual thing that comes to mind, and you'll know exactly what it is. So just start doing it, because it's always waiting for you. It's like with me with the gym. I know in my mind that it's always there waiting for me for when I needed to pick it back up. And that burning, I suppose it's like a flame, and at one point it was really, really small, and now the passion for it is just like, it's like a bloody forest fire now. You know what I mean? But yeah, and I just really think that you have to connect with your inner child. You can't, when you start ignoring your inner child, I really feel like that's when you become unhappy and you do get in a rut. And yeah, careers are ace and stuff like that, but I don't think it can replace truly what we actually want at heart, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, the whole point of life is to align what you want with your career, surely. Because I want in the future to be a person who goes around and inspires people. I want to be that person who gets paid to go and speak to people, to get inspiration from.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, that's not the only thing I want to do. I want to do other things as well, but I want something that connects with my values, that connects with my, like you say, your inner child, the person inside you who just wants to ignore economic circumstance.
Yeah.
If you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing right now?
Exactly, yeah. And resilience, like you say, is so important. Like, I'll tell you a little story about myself. When I was younger, I used to watch a show called Naruto, and it's about a ninja. But in it sounds It
No, go on.
sounds silly, but it really isn't. And anyone that's watched it will understand that it's not just a cartoon. It's a story of someone that refused to give up and ultimately got where they wanted to be. So when I was watching that as a child, like, I remember the fire that I had after watching that. I was like, yes, it really taught me some core values, mate. I'm being serious. And
Like
then
what were the core values that you got from
the core
Naruto?
values from this particular character, Naruto, are to never ever give up, no matter how hard things get, and to keep trying. Even if you fail, you get back up, you try again. And I always had that fire in me, but again, at some point in my life, when everything was getting on top of me, I let that
It just
sort
dimmed.
It dimmed, yeah. But now, blimey, it's back, and it's back with a vengeance. And I actually rewatched it, and it just reignited it even more. And that's why I always say to people that like anime and stuff like Naruto holds a special place in my heart, because it's not just a cartoon. It's just such a beautiful story, man. I feel like it's like the same with you've seen the Rocky films, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's like a zero to hero story. It's the fact that even though it's not a real character, like it's not a real person.
Yeah.
Everybody has a Rocky inside them.
Oh, I love that, man.
But they
I
do,
love
don't
that.
they? And when you watch Rocky films, you start shadow boxing, and you're like, yeah, come on, let's get in the gym, let's go for a run. But
it's not about how hard you can get hit.
Exactly, but you do
Yeah.
though, don't you?
Mate, honestly, I think that going back to your core values is key. It's
Yeah.
key. It's key to finding, to getting that fire to reignite.
100%, mate.
And then when you reignite that fire, that's when you need to start setting them new habits. So with your new habits, I want to ask you about some of them and how you got into them, how you found them out. So with the cold showers, tell me about them, because I hear it from a lot of people that I should be having cold showers in the morning after the gym. And I always say to myself, oh yeah, let's try it today and let's just see what the difference is. But I always back out of it. I never actually do it.
Well, I think the first time you explain to someone about a cold shower, they immediately reject it because they know that it's uncomfortable to be cold.
Yeah.
However, it's if you look past that, like what I started to do is I used to watch Vice documentaries all the time. Well, we both did, didn't we? And I saw one on Wim Hof, and he basically has a breathing method, and he does cold showers. He's got like the world record for like being in the cold for the longest without changing his core temperature. He's climbed Mount Everest like just in his bloody swimming shorts, with no shoes, no nothing. The guy is an absolute beast. And the thing about the cold showers is, if you've got any worries and you jump into that cold shower, you're no longer thinking about them, because you can only think about how cold you are. But what happens is when you get into that cold shower, your breath starts to you start to take deeper breaths, and that's one of the core elements of the cold mixed with the breathing. Is as humans we should take deeper breaths, and as time's gone by, for whatever reason we've just stopped taking deeper breaths. And but when you start taking these deeper breaths and getting in the cold showers, once you surpass being in the cold shower for, I'd say for me it's about 5 minutes, it feels warm, because you get that many endorphins running through your body. Literally, it feels like you're having a warm shower. So, like, it's got to the point now, I've been doing cold showers for literally about 2 years, and they've changed my life, because I don't even have hot showers anymore at all. I don't take them.
How long did it take to get there, though?
It took, honestly, about 6 months. When I first started doing it, I started off on I'd say go for a lukewarm temperature, and then let yourself adjust, and then slowly go down. That's my advice to you, Jack. Like, I wouldn't just put it on full whack. Full whack cold.
I think that's what's stopping me.
Yeah, so don't do that, because you'll shock your body too much. You've got to let it get used to it. Whereas now, like I'm 2 years in, I can literally get into the cold shower on the coldest setting, and just get in there and just shut my eyes and I can stand there for 10 minutes, and it's just unbelievably just relaxing.
And it doesn't hit you. It doesn't make you do the...
It not really, no. Like, I'll breathe deeper. I'll become a lot more mindful of my breathing, because he's got a breathing technique as well that it's on YouTube for free, that you can look it up. But I'll be doing that at the same time as having the cold shower. And when you come out, you just feel like a different person. You feel so refreshed. You feel clear-minded. You feel ready to tackle the day, because at the end of the day, if you start your day with something as uncomfortable as a cold shower, that's amazing, because you're starting your day with something ridiculously uncomfortable. So your day can only really get better from there. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, you really are convincing me to try it.
You should, because comfort is literally what keeps us in the rut. Whereas when you have a cold shower, you get out of there and you have a new mindset, and then you're like, right, okay, I want to do a little bit of mindfulness now. I've got loads. You have so much more energy, so you're like, well, I started learning a new language whilst I was doing it. I started learning Japanese. That's because of my interest in anime, by the way. Yeah. But it just gives you a new lease of life. So I think if you are in a rut, don't think about it, but just go and have a cold shower. Start on lukewarm, gradually lower it down and lower it down. And I can't really explain how good it feels, but you need to experience it for yourself, because it's magical. It really is. And I'm going to challenge you to do one tomorrow morning and let me know what you think. Because,
all right, I will.
Yeah. But yeah, mate, honestly, when I say life-changing, I'm telling you, the life-changing. Anxiety goes, completely goes.
Do you know what we should do? We should challenge each other to do to start one thing that we both do out of our routines.
100%. And I know
know what I mean?
I know everyone's got like different stuff that they love doing, but like I say, I always like starting my day with a cold shower. It's just sets me up.
I'll tell you what, I'll do a cold shower.
Yeah. And
what you can do is you can read a certain amount of pages, however many you want, a certain amount of pages of a certain, whatever book you want to read.
Yeah.
Every night, just some form of reading. Even if it's like 10 minutes, just reading something. Do 10 minutes of it. Yeah,
because I'm still not doing enough reading, and I feel like when I was at school, I used to love reading. It was get your eye creative.
Exactly, and it opens up bits of your brain that you forget exist, because when you're watching TV, it's always there, but with reading, it really does encourage your mind to. It's brilliant for you. So I'll do cold shower. In fact, we'll do it for a week, and then on next week's podcast, we'll talk about how we found it.
Yeah.
And whether we found it easy to get into our routine or not.
Yeah, just make sure that, like you say, you take it slow. So
I will.
Do 2 minutes lukewarm, and then 2 minutes after, go a little bit lower, then leave it for 2 minutes. You have to let your body adjust, otherwise your nervous system will just be screaming, get out, get out, get out. And you'll end up running out.
So what was the next biggest part of your routine that you got in there?
Next biggest part of my routine was progressive muscle relaxation, which is such a powerful tool for anyone. And when I say anyone, I mean you don't have to be anxious all the time. You don't have to be depressed. It's such a good way to relax. You can do it before bed. It improves your sleep. You can do it in the day if you're feeling overwhelmed. If you're at the office and you want to take 10 minutes out. It's literally... Have you done progressive muscle relaxation before?
Talk me through it.
So essentially what you do is you start off in a chair or lying down, whatever you want to do, and you just intentionally tense each body part for 5 seconds and then release. But the important part is when you're releasing the tension, you're really focusing on the release of the tension, so you can feel the difference between the muscles being constricted and the muscles being relaxed. And for me, because I was always highly anxious, I was always tensing, so I was always like this all the time. And when you start doing progressive muscle relaxation, you really get a sense of your body, and it basically teaches you how to relax. Like now, I can literally just relax throughout my day, if you know what I mean. Like I call it self-regulation, where I just literally just drop my shoulders. I've seen you do it. You do it instinctively, whereas I wasn't doing it instinctively. Where I'll just every 10 minutes I'll just drop my shoulders, drop the muscles, big deep breath, and then just focus back on living life. But it's really, really important that you do the progressive muscle relaxation to really get comfortable being in a relaxed state. Because if you're like me and in a high state of anxiety, I can guarantee you that you are tensing your muscles all of the time. And
100%.
Yeah, you know that, don't you? And
mate, I completely agree.
Yeah, and you probably haven't got a very good awareness of your body. And you said to me on the last week's podcast that I lost control of my body. So I'm no guru or anything like that. Like, we all fuck up, don't we? At the end of the day.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But what's important is you don't let those fuck ups become like
a routine.
A routine, yeah. Like now, if I mess up and I say if I get anxious one day, and the days are right off, I don't let it carry on into the whole week or the whole month. I'm like, okay, take away all guilt of what happened yesterday. Today's a new day. We get back into the good habits again, and we go again. You get back on the mountain, and that's the best way to stay out of going back into a rut, because it's hard to get out of a rut and very easy to get back into the rut. Yeah,
that's a very good point, actually, because when you do realise that you are maybe you're listening to this and you feel like you've got these techniques or you've done these before and you've just lost them. You've got to, when you're on that downhill slope, when you realise that you are not going to the gym as much anymore, you need to check yourself. You don't need to say, oh, you're a horrible person. You need to say, okay, well, we've missed it today, but tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow's a clean slate. And you can get, I wouldn't ever say start all of your habits again straight away.
Yeah.
Pick one, and tomorrow, just start it. You don't have to wait until Monday. You don't have to wait until a specific time, specific date. Just tomorrow, where it's a clean slate, pick one of the habits that you had when you're feeling most productive, and just start it again.
I agree so much with that, Jack.
Yeah, just make sure you don't slip. And if you do slip, it's okay. It's okay to have a slip up. Lou said he has. I do it as well. Just don't let that turn into a week, because a week turns into a month, turns into a year. And very easily.
And that's exactly what I did. My mindset back then was, well, I've messed up now, so I may as well just do it again tomorrow. It's like it's just not good at all. Like, it's not going to help you. You've got to, like you just said, just take one day at a time. And like you say, it's okay to mess up. At the end of the day, we're human, aren't we? I don't care if you... I mean, I can even imagine David Goggins probably messes up from time to time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could have Chuck Norris combined with Muhammad Ali. They're still going to fuck up. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be...
I'm just having that mental image right now.
Yeah, I know, but you've just got to, like you say, forgive yourself and then just get back on it. Don't waste
Forgiving yourself is
time.
A great term, man. Forgiving... Don't hold it against yourself.
Yeah.
Because the next day you'll feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad about it. It's okay. It's okay. Everyone does it. But just tomorrow, set your alarm clock. If one of your habits was getting up early, okay?
Yeah.
If one of your habits is getting up early, set an alarm, get up, and don't even... You can't even give yourself... I think they say it takes 5 seconds to actually engage your brain.
Yeah.
For when you wake up, if you can get up before them 5 seconds, then you've made it. It's easy.
Yeah.
As soon as that alarm clock goes off, turn it off and count down from 5. Just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up.
Yeah.
even go 3, 2, 1, up. Do not give yourself that time to be in bed, because so I was listening to something today and they said, as soon as I put my shoes on, as soon as I get up and I put my shoes on, my body just does it automatically. Yeah. And it's the same principle as the moment that you sit up and you get out of bed, your body will automatically do everything else. all you need to do is just get out. That's it. Yeah. Your body, after that, your brain, your body will automatically just go into autopilot, and you'll just walk to the toilet, you'll walk to... Everything becomes natural then. Yeah. What's unnatural is getting out of that relaxed bed, that where your muscles are all relaxed, they're all everything's nice. All you have to do is that first task, just sit up and get out, and then let the body do the rest.
I think it's amazing, mate. I feel like that's probably the most relevant thing that we've spoken about, because everyone can relate to when that alarm clock goes off, snooze, and then what do you do again? It comes around again, snooze. Before they know it, they justified the way into only giving themselves 5 minutes to get it in it, like ready and out the house for work. And then again, you're setting yourself up for failure. Whereas if you can, like Jack just said, if you can get up just like that without talking yourself out of it, you've got time to relax into your day. If you start your day off being rushed, you're probably going to feel like crap the whole day.
Yeah. Whether you have a cold shower or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, mate. But
I think, summarising it, the first step is you've got to realise that you're in a rut, and you've got to accept the fact that you're in a rut.
Yeah. And
the signs are you're doing the same things every single day, and you aren't drawing energy from them. You're getting it. You're spending your day like a zombie.
Yeah.
They're the signs. What signs would you say you have when that someone's in a rut?
Exactly that, mate. Like the signs are just... Well, I think a massive sign. I always try and be transparent and relate it to me, so that I don't offend anyone. But this is literally me when I'm talking. It was denial. I think a massive sign of being in a rut is denial. You're like, no, I'm fine. I'm doing all that I can be. Like, no, you're not. We know deep down. Don't we? We know that. It's the ego just trying to sort of keep you comfortable, because the mind doesn't want to go beyond comfort. But when we go beyond comfort, that's when we start to progress. And yeah, it is a lot easier to bloody sit in bed and watch movies all day, and I want to do that a lot of the times, but if we do that, we wouldn't get anything done. You know what I mean? You wouldn't progress at all. So a definite sign, mate, for me was denial.
Yep.
What about yourself?
Yep. No, I think the repetitiveness, the lack of motivation, the lack of trying new things, wearing the same clothes, like that. Little things like that, I think. So accept that you are in this position, you are in a rut. And then the next step, write down or find your values. Find what at your core is most important to you. And you've got to think to yourself, take away money. What is it that I love? What is it that if I had abundant resources, what would I be doing right now?
Yeah.
What is it that gives me energy, that lights that fire? What's that little fire inside you? What is that?
I feel like I'm interested to know what your fire is, Jack, to be honest. I don't think I've ever actually asked you. What passion is it that you've got, like, as a child, or that you do now that you don't really tell anyone, or...
It's funny because my passion is the resilience to get out of suffering. So I enjoy suffering because I like pushing myself through it.
Yeah.
So my fire comes from my struggle, I would say.
Yeah.
So and I relate that to, for instance, the gym, pushing through a new weight, pushing through a new barrier. I relate that to work, for doing something new. I really struggle with doing the same thing all the time. I really struggle with that. And people who know me know that I'm always doing something new, or there's always, whenever you speak to me, there's always something that's overwhelming me.
Yeah.
And deep down, I love that, and I crave that, and I really get energy from that struggle, because it realigns to my. It's like a fighting instinct inside of me, and I think that's probably my value. My value is to fight. It's that fighting mentality of just never giving up. That is my fundamentally. That is my core value.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same, mate. I want to touch on what you've just said about the gym, because I want to ask if you do this as well. What I'll do in the gym, say if I'm doing a heavy weight, or I'm doing a really hard interval when I'm doing cardio, I'll bring into my mind a memory that really fires me up, or that's really hurt me in the past, and I'll get angry over it, and it'll really help me to push more and more, and it sort of helps me process the negative emotions behind that, as well as obviously giving me fuel, bringing out the Rocky in me, whatever you want to call it. But do you ever do anything like that, or?
Well, I do a couple things, actually. I've got two different methods that I use, and you might be able to use one of these, actually.
Yeah.
So the first one, is to go to the darkest place that you can go to. What is the best place to explore your mind is in the gym, because you can go to the absolute pit. You can go to the darkest place.
Yeah.
Use that emotion. Just grab it because when it happens, you get very overwhelmed with this rush of anger, of just, it feels like your body is filling up, and you just pump out you will pump out any PB. You will push your body through anything.
Yeah.
But I also found that I was doing that too much.
Yeah,
I started
it becomes
to
an
get
addiction, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I've also got a new method that I use.
Right.
And it started on squats, actually. I was doing a squat, and I said to myself, in the back of my head, I was like, you cannot do one more rep, you will fail.
Yeah.
And then I don't know where it came from, but just something in my body said, all right, let's fail then. And then I just went down, and I didn't fail it. And I said to myself, any time that you feel like you can't do a rep, you just have to say, well, let's see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if I'm on bench and I've got no spot, I could be there with a new personal best, and I could say to myself, well, you're either getting it up or you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll just say to myself, well, we'll see. I don't even give myself that chance to rationally say, okay, I agree with you. I'm not even rational about it. I just say, well, let's see what you're made of.
Yeah. And I think when you're doing bench as well, I love the bench, by the way. But when you're doing bench press on your own, there's that sense of, well, if I don't get it up, then it's gonna crush me.
You could spend your time worrying about that and then be too protective, or you could just go, fuck it, let's see.
Yeah, and then you just start pumping yourself up, and you're just screaming out the weight, and you really do surprise yourself as to what you
do.
Can push
You always do it. You always do it.
Yeah. Well, I always say, I always think in my head, and I always say to people, if you said to someone, make sure you get up at 5:15 every morning, and you do a cold shower, and you do everything that me and Jack have spoke about for 3 months straight, and we'll give you £1 million at the end, I can guarantee you that everyone listening would do it, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Everyone. Whereas your mental health and physical health is worth way more than £1 million. So if you think of it like that, just think, well, if you do this for 3 months, for example, you're getting way more than that. So treat it like that. Treat it. Do you know what I mean, or not? That's
so
the mindset.
inspirational.
I know that is how I got myself out of the rut. Is literally saying that, because it is your wealth. I mean, your health is much more it's much more valuable than wealth. So you've got to just look at it like that. Change your perspective on stuff. Don't be afraid of letting go of old thought patterns, because I really was afraid of old thought patterns. Don't be afraid of introducing new ones. Open your mind a little bit. Explore. Do you know what I mean, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you've got these new techniques, these new habits that you're developing, make sure you've got someone there who can keep you accountable at the start. Even if you don't, you set like reminders on your phone. Accountability during that stage is incredibly important in developing that habit and making sure you stick to it. And then once you've got that routine, those habits, those healthy habits, and you realise that you're drawing energy, and even though you are getting up at 5:15, you enjoy it, and you find this fire. It's burning with it, because I cannot stress this enough to people who are listening. When that fire is ignited and when it is burning, it literally feels like a fire inside of you.
Yeah.
You feel this energy of, I can do whatever I want. You feel unstoppable. There's times where I've woken up and I've felt like there is nothing in this world that can stop me.
Yeah.
I even tweeted about it once. I was so hyped up. I was so pumped up that I tweeted, there's literally nothing right now that could stop me.
Yeah.
Make sure you develop that and keep to them habits.
Yeah.
But if you can't, and if you do have them days that you really struggle, Lou said it best. Forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Let yourself off. Give yourself that breathing space to just say, okay, I didn't do well today, but tomorrow I've got a clean slate.
Yeah. Get the idea of perfectionism out of your mind, because it's not. It's setting yourself up for failure, and then you're creating yourself a vicious cycle of disappointments. And again, that's one of the reasons why I was in the rut for so long, because I thought, well, it's like you said earlier, it's Friday now, so I may as well just wait until Monday. And then when Monday comes, before you know it, you've been doing it. It's the same thing again till Thursday, and then you do the same thing, and it's almost like a justification in your mind. Just let go of it all and just start. The main thing is starting, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the struggle, is when you're lying in bed and you're feeling crappy and you've got all these subconscious thoughts saying, "Oh, stay in bed." How do you get up? And it's like you say, it's that resilience. I mean, you can even we spoke about it on the last one, but you can just sit there and watch a motivational video.
Yeah.
Put some motivating music on. Do you know what I mean? And before you know it, you're all fired up, and that's the fire then. That's the start of it, and then you can just set yourself up for more and more and more, and I think that's how you build habits anyway.
You know what? I think that this is a good place to end the podcast, but end it with, you just need to start, right?
Yeah.
If this is the morning, if you're listening to this in the morning, do something. Do one thing. Add one thing to your routine that we've spoken about. If this is the night, tomorrow, just start. Just start.
100%, mate, yeah.
So, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate the love and support that you've been sending. Please share this with people. Give them this platform, because right now it is needed more than ever.
Yeah.
Like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, check up on your strong friend.